It seems like a lot of people aren't aware that TCGPlayer and Channel Fireball were both bought by eBay. Both TCGPlayer and Channel Fireball are huge names in the card gaming sphere, especially within Magic, right? They are household names for us nerds. TCGPlayer was a locally owned startup in Syracuse, New York, a homegrown success story that was bought by eBay back in the March of 2024. The news that they were being bought came a bit earlier than that, but that was when we got the announcement article explaining it all. Fast forward to the May of 2025, and eBay is closing down the Syracuse office. It is relocating everything to Kentucky to consolidate everything into one place. The accusations, however, from many people, and I completely and utterly agree with these accusations, is that this is for union busting. Back in the January of 2023, the workers at TCGPlayer came together and formed a union with a majority vote to do so, looking to protect their own workers' rights and get a fair share of the profits that have been made from their own labor. Since the acquisition, eBay have basically not come to the table to bargain. They have completely ignored all attempts by the union to discuss with them about contracts that are union approved, shall we say. Most of the sources of information in this video and just about this whole topic do come from the union, so you have to take a little bit of a pinch of salt, if you will, about this topic, because it is being presented to you and talked about by people who are now being released. Fired. 200 people are losing their jobs. That's a conservative number, by the way. New York Senator Christopher J. Ryan says that it's closer to 300 local jobs being lost in this. But the union claims that eBay just took 600 plus days to reply and then suddenly closed down the store. Or then by store, I mean warehouse. Sorry, I'm misspeaking there. It's not a store. This is the central warehouse for TCGPlayer. Now, for those of you in Europe like myself who don't use TCGPlayer, to explain, TCGPlayer is a marketplace in which people can buy and sell cards and has been the backbone of the American sort of like secondary market for the longest time. There's a reason that people talk about TCG Mid as the de facto go-to price check for what a card is selling for right now. The warehouse in Syracuse was for the TCG Direct. It was sort of TCGPlayer's own inventory, and it managed hundreds of thousands of cards, with 200 plus staff now being made redundant. Redundant being a word that I'm adding to it, actually. I don't think they are happy about the redundancy package being given. It's supposedly around 10 weeks of pay. They're currently pushing for a better severance package than that, because you've got to bear in mind that this is a local business being bought up by a huge corporation, and when this was spoken about initially, when this was talked about in the original article explaining all of this, there was this bit here. On a more personal note, today also marks an incredible milestone for the TCGPlayer team. I founded TCGPlayer to ensure that every team member embraced your passion for collectibles and could share in our collective company success, that we built incredible tools and services that support you. I'm proud to share that as part of this transaction, all 688 TCG players, hourly and salaried, will share in the financial rewards of this deal as a result of our employees' stock option plan. I couldn't find at the time of recording anything about how the stock options actually worked out for these employees, but Sheddy, the original owner of this, who walked away after selling the company for $250 million, has not commented on any of the union or current close down of Syracuse at time of recording either. Again, this is all accusatory in terms of it's coming from the union. eBay have said in a statement to local news that this was a difficult decision. We recognize the near-term impact it will have on our employees, their families, and on the Syracuse community, and we're dedicated to taking care of our people during this transition. And in order to take care of them, they have supposedly turned it into a dystopian hellscape, to use the words of the union themselves. On the morning of May 22nd, eBay and TCGPlayer abruptly closed the Syracuse Authentication Center and terminated all of its union workers. This is blatantly retaliatory action against the efforts of the workers to fight for better wages and working conditions at the company, and a legal attempt to avoid their bargaining responsibilities. They are punishing workers for standing up for their rights. The Communications Workers of America Union also put this out, saying that eBay has escalated intimidation of union members after closure announcements. Security guards deployed by eBay at its Syracuse-based TCGPlayer Authentication Center have created an oppressive atmosphere, physically and verbally harassing employees. They present a quote that one of the guards was told them that they have been employed to beat on people. Now look, you're closing down a location with a large inventory of expensive trading cards. Perhaps you want to secure the safety of those things against your disgruntled employees that you've just put out of a fucking job. I get that's why you might get some security involved, but these people are supposedly grabbing and verbally harassing union members. Look, if you don't trust your staff because you fucked them over, because you've put them in the bad position, put them on administrative or gardening leave, right? There's this thing when I used to work in retail banking in the UK, that if you were going to fire an employee, which in the UK is very rare, it's more, you have to let them go after a lengthy dismissal process. You have to really try hard to fire your staff in the UK. Our workers' rights are just way better than America's, and that's saying something. But you'd often have gardening leave, where if you were upsetting a member of staff by saying that you you're thinking of letting them go for whatever that reason might be, even a legitimate reason because they're just not fit for the job anymore, you'd put them on gardening leave to avoid them stealing from cash registries and such, or doing anything that might, you know, harm a building that stores a lot of money. You don't employ security guards to follow people around and make them feel they're not trusted when they've worked for your company for years, 5 years in the case of some of these union workers. Like I said, there's this pinch of salt element that all of the information we're getting is primarily provided by the disgruntled and reasonably upset, for completely good reasons, members of staff from the Syracuse Center. But the truth be told, from my perspective, is that I'm much more likely to side with or believe the day-to-day small person staff members that are getting fucked over than the corporation that has a history of not wanting to play ball with unions. To be clear, this was the first union in history for eBay. Here's a Vice article. The headline is, its first worker union in 27 years. And they closed down the premises in which those union workers worked at. I wonder why. Allegedly. Well, no, the close down wasn't allegedly, but I just want to throw the word allegedly out there. I don't know how much allegedly I have to throw around. They're union busting in Minecraft. Also, I found this well too in the edit on Vice as well. In 2023, eBay deleted support for unions from its website after its workers unionized. In essence, after TCGPlayer unionized, as eBay were buying them in that process, they removed protection for unions from their human rights policy, which is kind of telling, really, right? That's like mask off, like fucking cartoon villainy. If you want to pretend you're not anti-union, perhaps you shouldn't remove unions from your human rights. Apparently it was there before and they took it away. You can't make this shit up. We're coming to a point where we're at like peak hype for Magic. Like we've got the most, the biggest selling set of all time during pre-order window, let alone when it goes to general sale with Final Fantasy. So to announce the closure of your fucking distribution office for your direct to consumer sale of cards in a company that you bought to get into the card selling market, it does smell kind of fishy. The union itself has filed 3 different unfair labor practicing sort of charges against the company, primarily the refusal to bargain and these retaliatory actions to make people, out of work to get away from unionization. It's really important to understand that the union that's meant to work for the rights of the employees of the company were informed 5 minutes before the closure of the venue. Some of the employees found out they're losing their jobs by word of mouth from other employees telling them as the building was being closed down. Like I said, the union is filing lawsuits, and there was a rally yesterday. If you want to help out, I guess that's the main thing, right? Like, fuck TCGPlayer at this point. How do we support them in some way? First of all, we're sharing all news, not just this video per se, but they have a Twitter account. I'll link that down below as well, so you can follow that for updates. They have a petition that'll be linked in the description below as well. Petitions aren't the best way to get what we want or need as the little guy against the corporation, but it is something. But really, the way that you hurt a huge fucking corporation like this, it's just not to give them your money. And that not only is TCGPlayer, but that is eBay itself. There are 1,000,001 other ways to procure your cards, card game accessories, and sealed product, right? From your local game stores, for example. From other sellers that don't go through TCGPlayer themselves, or have a separate avenue from TCGPlayer. I'm not saying you boycott anyone who's using TCGPlayer. I'm saying don't buy through TCGPlayer, don't give them the cut. I'm not going to shield too much, but there are other companies out there too that you can buy from. For the more biased take, it's coolstuffinc.com in North America. If I use the code KenoBi, check out for 5% off your order. But I also understand that as a biased look. There are other companies too. It's funny, when I was going to name American places to buy cards from, like Star City Games, for example, I almost immediately said Channel Fireball because it was always Star City and Channel Fireball and Cool City as the Cool Stuff as the third one. They were always the trifecta at the top of my understanding of where to buy cards from in North America, not as a North American. And the funny thing is, this is all part of that, right? eBay has bought up 1/3 of that trifecta, and then they bought up TCGPlayer, which is the other underlying bedrock for that trifecta. They are buying up as much as they can of this industry that they just want every fucking penny from, and then they're going to go ahead and fucking ruin a local company and the lives of 200 plus people because it's cheaper, easier, and gets them away from having to deal with fucking unions to move to a much more hostile state like Kentucky, where I believe unionization is practically impossible. I'm going off the back of what Americans are telling me here. I'm no expert on union law in the state of Kentucky. And for those of you that are saying fuck unions or whatever, I'm not here to try and convince you of that. You guys have already drank the Kool-Aid for American free market bullshit. And for those of you saying consolidating down and making it a cheaper, more cost-effective business, that's okay. Sure, it is, but the fact that it lines up with them spending an extortionate amount of time avoiding bargaining with the union, that is kind of fucked up. That kind of rings alarm bells for me. But again, you've got this idea that local businesses, things like the local news reporting on how the Syracuse venue itself is part of their downtown economy. Like, local shops will have less footfall through the people that just work in that building on its own. It's particularly fucked because you can see that the corporation like eBay cares more about the profit margins they can get from dipping their toe into every fucking niche market they can get their grubby little mitts on, whilst absolutely eroding the control of local business or individuals in their company, or actually just avoiding having them having any control in their workforce, in their workspace. They will gobble up every little bit of local labor they can, they will reap the benefits and then tell you to go fuck yourself as they move to Kentucky and throw the union in the bin. It's fucked, and that's why you should not buy from TCGPlayer or eBay until they fucking acknowledge this, change their decision, like work with the union. There's a lot of things they could do here to fix the very obvious fucked up decision, but they won't, and in which case vote with your wallets and fuck them. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. All of this was alleged and in Minecraft. I'm pro-union, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.